Hi, Ms. Pember. Thanks for joining us today. As a Native American living in Ohio, how do you feel that it looks like the Cleveland Indians are no more?
Well, it's certainly been a long time coming, and many of us have looked forward to this day for a long time.
Yes, certainly a big news that was out this weekend. The Washington football team finally dropped its racist nickname due to the threat of losing corporate sponsorships. Is this the same case in Cleveland?
You know, I wonder if that didn't also, motivate them. I mean, for quite some time, the Native community has spoken to them about the usage of the mascot, and it hasn't really had too large of an impact on them. They did retire the logo Chief Wahoo a couple of years ago, but I think it was, I'm sure money had something to do with it. Absolutely. Particularly in the climate we're in now, we're having some racial reckoning. I imagine it did play a role, although I don't know firsthand about any corporate discussions that they had.
Now, we've heard supporters say in the past that these types of nicknames honor Native Americans, but you've written that in the case of Cleveland, this was not the case back in 1915. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, well, I don't think it's ever really been the case that it's been honoring Native Americans. It was honoring, if it was honoring I'll say it was a Native American who never was. It's all really based on really an imperialist view of history that really has very little to do with actual Native people here in the States. So, often tied to, these kind of social memes like, Wild Bill Hickok's Wild West show, which was kind of an amalgamation of Plains Indian styles. These people would ride in on horses with flags. And, it's not something that I think as Native people we would, most of us, I don't feel really explicitly honored by these terms.
Now, of course, the battle isn't over with these nicknames. There's still the NFL's Kansas City Chiefs, for example. What needs to be done next?
I think obviously we're having kind of a tsunami, if you will, in the U.S. of racial reckoning, and these folks are being hit in the pocketbook. And I think that momentum just needs to continue. That's no longer, we yelled and, spoke out to them for years about the inappropriateness of these names. But I think that we're seeing that the culture at large is questioning these folks, and also they're using their monies, to I think have an influence. So I think it's being forced on them, and I think it will come slowly, but I think it will come.
We are, of course, seeing a bit of this reckoning here in Canada as well, specifically with Edmonton's professional football team changing their name after many years of advocates calling for that. Do you foresee all these nicknames and mascots gone in the very near future?
Gosh, that's so difficult to predict. I'm not actually a business writer, so I think that there are things at play that I don't know about, and probably the public at large doesn't know about. But I think there's a lot of pressure. I think they're experiencing far more pressure from the public at large than they ever have in the past, and I think it's difficult for them to resist. So one would hope that the change would be made soon for other teams as well.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's all the time that we have for today. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.